All right, we will call the meeting to order at 5 p.m. All trustees are present. Public comment on closed session items at this time. Any person may address the board on any closed session item pursuant to the Brown Act. The board cannot consider issues or take action on requests during this comment period. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. Seeing nobody here. So during closed session, we will be discussing C1, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, C2, public employee performance evaluation, superintendent, and C3, conference with labor negotiators, tax, CSEA, and management. So with that, we will move into closed session at 5:01 p.m. Into open session at 6 p.m. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Approval of agenda order. The board reserves the right to change the order in which agenda items are discussed and or acted upon at this meeting. Subject to further action by the board, the agenda for this meeting is to be approved as presented. Items may be added to this agenda for discussion or action only as permitted by the Brown Act. Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the agenda.
And I will second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the agenda by Trustee Garrison and a second by Trustee Candelaria Orth. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's not that. Oh, preferential?
Aye.
And no one is absent. Okay, public comment on consent and non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent or non-agenda items pursuant to the Brown Act. During this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. Time is limited to 3 minutes per person per item, 20 minutes per topic. And do we have any public comment? Seeing none, we will move on. And closed session reportable action taken. In closed session, the board took action to non-reelect 1.0 FTE CHS ELD teacher by a unanimous vote. And, moving on to the consent calendar. The CUSD Board of Trustees utilizes a consent calendar for items that require the approval of the board but are of a routine nature. They act upon these items in one vote. Any member may remove an item for additional questions. Board members receive their agendas and backup materials 7 days in advance of our meetings. They have the opportunity to ask questions and to do research prior to our meeting. It is their intent to handle the routine items expeditiously so they have time to address issues that are more serious. And does anyone have any items to pull from the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve consent calendar.
I'll second.
We have a motion to approve the consent calendar by Trustee Candelaria Orr and a second by Trustee Zeikwicz. Preferential?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one is absent. So we will move on to association reports. J1, California School Employees Association.
Yeah, Carl, were you going to come and say something to introduce Jennifer, or are you just? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Carlos Jimenez. I'm the president for our local chapter, CSEA Local Chapter 170. And today I would like to introduce you guys to Jennifer Hitson. She's our labor relationship representative, and she has some information that she would like to share with you guys. So, Jennifer.
Hi, guys. So again, my name's Jennifer. I am the CSA labor rep for your guys' district, overseeing your classified folks. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about CSAP, and I hope you don't mind. I'm going to read from my script here so I don't get off track. Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak on behalf of CSEA and its Cloverdale chapter number 170. My name is Jennifer Hitson. I am a labor rep with California School Employees Association, CSEA. Today I want to talk about a program that continues to shape the financial stability of thousands of classified school employees across our state, the California School Employees Summer Assistance Program, or CSAP. Our classified employees, our paraeducators, custodians, office assistants, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, and so many others are the people who make our schools run every single day. They are the heartbeat of our campuses. Yet despite their dedication, many of them face a harsh reality every summer. For far too many, paychecks stop in late May or June, but the cost of living doesn't stop with them. Rent still comes due. Child care still needs to be paid. Groceries, car payments, medical bills, those don't take a summer break. Many of our classified employees work 11 months or fewer, which means that the income that sustains them for most of the year suddenly disappears for 8 to 10 weeks. And because so many earn modest hourly wages, even saving a few $100s in advance can be a challenge. Every year, countless classified staff tell us the same story. They have to take on a temporary second and even third jobs just to make it through the summer. Jobs that often pay less, offer no benefits, and come with no stability. Others have to rely on credit cards, high-interest loans, or borrowing from family, which only adds more financial strain when the school year begins again. These aren't extravagant expenses. These are the basics: keeping the lights on, keeping food on the table, and staying safely housed. This is exactly why the Classified School Employee Summer Assistance Program, or CSAP, exists. It provides a structured, reliable way for employees to set aside part of their paycheck during the school year and receive it back during the summer months with additional matching funds from the state. It is one of the most effective tools we have to reduce financial hardship, create stability, and ensure that people who support our students can support themselves as well. So what is CSAP? CSAP began in 2018 with one clear purpose: to support classified school employees who work 11 months or fewer and lose their income over the summer months. It is a state funding savings and matchings program established under the Education Code and administered by the California Department of Education. This program gives employees a structured, dependable way to set aside part of their paycheck during the school year and receive that money back in the summer with additional matching funds from the state. Since it began, more than 170,000 classified employees across California have benefited from CSAP. Here in Sonoma County, over half of our districts participate, including the Sonoma County Office of Ed, and statewide more than 500 school districts are part of the program. CSAP is not theoretical. It is not symbolic. It is real, tangible impact. It has helped employees pay rent during the summer. It has kept families in their homes. It has reduced debt, reduced stress, and created a sense of financial stability many classified employees have never had before. The participation continues to grow because the need is real and because the program works. The impact is clear and it is overwhelmingly positive. So how does CSAP work? CSAP gives classified employees something they've never had before: a way to create predictable summer income with the help from the state of California. So how it works is eligible classified employees can voluntarily set aside up to 10% of their monthly paychecks during the school year. Then the state of California steps in and matches a portion of those savings, sometimes up to a full 100%. When summer arrives, both the employee savings and the state matched funds are paid out during the months when employees traditionally don't receive a paycheck. Now, the exact amount varies from year to year because it depends on statewide participation and the level of state funding. So, for example, the 25-26 year, the estimated match is about 56 cents on the dollar. In the past year, the match has been higher. As districts begin to participate, that amount reduces. So let's see. And so what does it cost the district? And I want to be very clear about this. It doesn't cost the district anything except the cost of the taxes on the wages withheld. So the district is not responsible for matching employee savings. The only cost to a participating district is the employer side payroll taxes on the state's matching funds, because those matching funds are considered taxable compensation. When we compared this cost to districts of your size, we found that the annual expense is roughly $5,000 a year, which is a relatively small amount for a program that provides such meaningful benefit to employees. There is no district contribution to the match, no large financial commitment, and no financial risk beyond standard payroll tax obligation and manageable administrative tasks. And yet, even with participation being fully optional, many districts throughout California choose to join. Why? Because the benefits are significant, both for employees and for the district. The program increases financial stability for classified employees. It improves retention and reduces turnover, which reduces recruiting and training costs. It builds goodwill and demonstrates the district's commitment to supporting its workforce. And the administrative requirements are predictable, straightforward, and very manageable. CSAP is one of those rare programs that costs the district very little, but delivers a profound positive impact. It helps the employees who help our students every single day, and it strengthens the district in the process. And so this is just a little bit of my own experience that I'm going to share. Before I came to work for CSEA, I spent 10 years serving as a classified school employee. My district was the only one in the county that chose not to participate, leaving me among the workers who went without while every other district moved forward. I can tell you firsthand, knowing how little it would have cost the district and knowing how profoundly it would have helped me and my fellow classified employees was incredibly disheartening. It left me feeling undervalued and unappreciated, and that feeling stayed with me, especially as someone who came to work every day determined to give my best to our students in our schools. What may seem small from a district perspective could mean the world to the people who are barely getting by. Classified employees keep our schools running. They support every classroom, every teacher, every student, and many of them are struggling just to make ends meet. CSAP is a thoughtful, well-organized program that ensures classified school employees have real income during the months when they would otherwise have none, and it's one of the most meaningful financial supports the state provides to the people who support our students all year long. So I share this with you not as a staff representative, but as someone who has lived this experience. A small decision on your part can go such a long way for the people who serve this district with everything they have. Thank you for your time and for considering the very real impact your choice will have on the lives of people who make our schools whole. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We will move on to Teachers Association of Cloverdale. And I guess there's no report tonight. Okay. District reports, Jefferson Elementary School.
Well, good evening. You have my report as submitted.
Thank you. K2 Washington School.
Good evening, everybody, and yes, you have our report as submitted as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And Cloverdale High School and JH.
So before Glenn started saying that, I was going to say, so I'm not doing to be contrary. We had a really busy month this past month with the 8th grade rising and the 8th grade parent information night. So there were a lot of things happening at Cloverdale High School. So I just wanted to point it out, and everything has been going great. And other than that, you have my report as submitted.
Thank you.
And Special Education and Student Services.
You have my report as submitted as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Maintenance, Operation, and Transportation. I'm going to guess that's as submitted as well. And we will move on to the student board representative. I'm skipping you, sorry.
I'm okay with that.
Business report.
Is this one? Yeah.
All right. Hello, everybody. So we're going to do this report in two parts. This is the first part, and we're just going to update you with some numbers for our monthly program. And next month, we'll be coming at you with the second interim, so we'll go into a lot more detail and have a lot more information. And a lot of these numbers are going to change next month. So the first one is our enrollment. And right now, at the beginning of February, we had 1,254 students. This is 19 less than last year at the same time. But the good news is it's 8 more than last month. So that's good for us. And here on this top group is the 23-24. And the middle group is 24-25, and then the bottom is 25-26 for month 6. And our current ADA for month 6 is 1,156 and 13. So as you can see, this is less than it's been in previous years. All right, our revenues and how are we doing there? As you can see, we're about 59% for our LCFF, 56% for other state revenues. we're at 122% for local revenues, and you're probably wondering, how is that possible? Well, that's possible because we've had an increase due to interest, and we also received a refund from STRS. So those two things bumped us over to the 122%, meaning that we've received about 60% of all of our revenues so far. The next one is our expenditures, and as you can see, we're tracking pretty well there. What we've actually spent is about 53% of our expenditures. And then the next two slides, the contribution slide and then also the ending fund balance slide, they're not going to change until we get to the end of the year when we do our unaudited actuals and we find out really how much money are we going to get, because that's how you do business in schools, right? You find out in October how much money you're going to get to spend for the year and all that. So that's part one. Now you can have part two.
Okay. So, last 2 weeks ago, I went to a FICMAT meeting, because I'm on the board at FICMAT, which is the Financial Crisis and Management Assistance Team. It is a group that is established through the state of California to be able to help districts in financial struggles, and also it's something where you can call them in to be able to audit any practices and everything like that you do. So they have a really good pulse on what's going on in the state. And so being a part of that group and that board is we get kind of a little bit of inside track information. So what I'm going to talk about tonight is basically not our budget per se, but the California budget. And the way that it works, and I know we have a couple of newer people, but the way that it works is the governor comes out with his original or initial budget proposal for next year, which would be starting in July, because they're on the same fiscal year. And then they start negotiating, essentially, and then by May, he comes out kind of with his revisions, and then by I think it's June 15th, or the end of June, then the legislature has to pass a budget. So what I'm going to talk about today is his original proposal. And of course, this is in January. He came out on January 8th and gave it. It takes a little bit for it to kind of get filtered into. This is just the educational side, which is actually the biggest side. But it kind of gives you an idea about how it's setting up for next year. This is a unique year because this will be the last budget proposal the governor's doing because he is termed out. Also a unique part is clearly the governor's going to be running for a national office. So, as you know, it's not up for president until 2028, but the way the national stuff works is you pretty much are starting now preparing for potential runs. I know nobody's really announced yet, but in all likelihood, that's what's going to probably happen. Stop me anytime. You don't have this in front of you. It's up here. I'm going to have Kathleen email it to you after this part. So here we go. And again, these are not my words. This is what they put out, so I'm not going to go through everything in depth, but it gives you an idea. So basically, so there's definitely strong support for the schools in this budget as of right now. And again, this is not what's going to be necessarily accepted, but this is just what he originally comes out with. Okay? They talk about in here the big three taxes basically are up. Those are going to be income tax, which is the biggest one, which also includes capital gains and everything like that as well, sales and use tax, and corporate taxes. Right now, we are writing the AI machine basically right now. So those taxes are way up. The big thing right now at the state level is that you have two offices. You have the Department of Finance, which actually works for the governor. And then you have the Legislative Analyst Office, which is basically an independent, nonpartisan thing. Those two groups are way off on the amount of money that's going to be coming through the end of the year for next year. And so we are built on, we meaning the K, it's actually TK through 14, which we are included with the community colleges as well. And we have what's called a Proposition 98 guarantee. This was passed in 1988 that basically said that school districts are going to get, our K through 12 educator, K through 14 education is going to be guaranteed at least 40% of the budget. It's like 39.6, but guaranteed 40% of the budget that's coming in. So that way, if there is receipts that are up, schools should be getting more of that, right? Because the 40% number is bigger. It also talks in here, too, at a glance, that it's looking like the cost of living adjustment, or COLA, is going to be about 2.41%. And if you remember, what we've always talked about is that 1% is really not going to cover all of our increases in other expenses, you know, keeping the lights on, having water, and all that stuff too, right? So that's all a part of that as well. We talk about discretionary block, one-time block grant, which I'll get into in a second, for that part. So please just, anybody can just let me know if you have any questions coming up. So we obviously have revenues. So this kind of breaks it down a little bit here. The general fund revenues are up about almost 7%, up $42 billion. As you can see, majority of that's made up through personal income tax, right? And most of the personal income tax is because people are paying taxes on their capital gains. As you know, the stock market's over 50,000 now for the first time. So there's been a lot of realized gains in all that for the state. But you can see that the corporation taxes and the sales and use taxes are actually down a little bit, which causes concern. And then it goes on to talk about the capital gains. Okay, so now we are on the Proposition 98 Reserve Fund. So about a few years ago, I want to say in 21, does that sound right? Where they came up with that? That basically where we had that last downturn, the Governor Brown at the time decided that we were going to have a public school system stabilization act to basically, so if there's a certain amount of revenue that we've got, that they're going to put some of it away into a rainy day fund. So basically that if the idea behind it is good, because we're trying to keep it on somewhat of a progressive, as more money comes in, but there's going to be dips, just like there is in any time in economics. So if we have the Stabilization Act, it'll make the dips less steep if we've got kind of a savings. We love that for schools because whenever they put money into that, it's our money, right? Which is good because we know how politicians are, legislators are when they have extra money, right? They like to give it away, right? So by putting money into there helps us because it's our own savings account for schools, so they can't touch it for anything else. I mean, that's not entirely accurate because they can always, with a supermajority, you can always move it, but it's less likely. And so also, there's different tests that I'm not going to go into, but there's different tests that they use to be able to decide how much money goes into schools and not. They also work on 3 different years. They have last year, this year, and next year is kind of how they work. So they kind of use the money to true up and then also plan with, right? So that's why you'll see a bunch of different things there. Okay, on Prop 98, it is actually up $21 billion that we should be getting. However, they are not going to give us all of that because there is some last year, I think it was last year or the year before, that they ended up lowering the bench of Proposition 98. So they basically, whenever they do that, they have to owe us money. So he's taking that essentially out of the increased income that we would be getting. There's a lot of manipulation that goes on, clearly. And so it's going to only end up being about a $15 billion increase because about $6 billion of it's he's going to be putting elsewhere to true up and different things like that as well, to pay off some debt. Okay, and COLA. Again, like I said, it's 2.41%. And then COLA, which adds maybe about $247 to $299 per ADA. The reason why there's a range there is because you have three different types of school districts in California. You have elementary school districts, you have high school districts, and then you have unified school districts. So there's some different numbers in there. That nets us approximately about $300,000 is what it does. If you look at the per ADA, it gives you some idea. They are talking about increasing some of the special education base funding. Clearly, it is very archaic in the amount of money they give us to be able to supplement for special ed, but at least it's something, right? So they're talking about increasing that. Necessary small schools, if you guys know what that means, basically there's some areas that have to have a school that may not have, like let's say, from the district the county I came from in Humboldt, there's a district up there that has 6 kids. So their ADA is not going to, so they get a base amount that they're going to get because it's called a necessary small school. So they actually are increasing that a little bit. And then the out-year COLAs, they're talking about being a little bit more towards 3%. And if you know anything about COLA, the COLA is basically tied to a lot of different things, mostly national stuff, like with the consumer price index and everything like that. So it's a formula-based thing. It's not something that, it can be manipulated, but it's generally a formula-based type thing. Excuse me. Proposition 28 is our music and arts and music initiative, and they're looking at using some of the money that we're going to rebench that's supposed to be separate out of Prop 98. But again, there's some manipulation going on there, and then some other things that they put. Oops. So here's just some other breakdown of some stuff. Most of these things pertain to us. We do not have a community schools grant, so that $1 billion is not due to us. The next 3 or 4 are ours. We're a part of with the CTE. Obviously, we have on the school transportation and things like that too. They are redirecting some monies to be able to go to the LA Fire's support because a lot of schools and things like that did get destroyed and that sort of thing, or having to displace people and run schools, stuff like that. Okay. And then some program revisions. They're going to add almost $62.5 million to the expanded learning program in Tier 2. We're also going to be getting some of that as well. But most of these other funds do not get the COLA attached to them. So a lot of these funds, like this increase here, will not get an extra 2.4%. That's just on the base money that we're going to get. Okay? So looking ahead, so there are some risks. In the last few months, we have had above predicted receipts that we're getting from the state. Basically, again, that the state is getting because of all of the higher capital gains, everything like that too, and taxes that are coming in higher than is predicted. He is predicting that's going to continue. That trend's going to continue. Most people think that much like with the .com bubble, that the AI bubble is going to happen. Everybody now is doing AI, right? And we all know eventually that's going to probably boil back down to some major companies, right? For example, if you look, maybe some of you weren't around or don't remember, but when the internet first came out, right, there was everybody that had an internet website, right, that was doing something. And then all of a sudden, the Googles and stuff started eating the rest, right, and became, so there's only a few of them that are left, few big companies that are left. Most people feel like that's going to happen with AI as well, right? We don't know. So there's that's one thing about looking ahead, there's a lot of risks to those forecasts, right? That meaning the governor, is banking on those receipts coming in higher than they normally would be in that. Anyway, because if that does burst, right, then the capital gains will go away, which funds a lot of stuff that we do in California, right? We feel like the COLA is a little low on that in order to keep up with, usually that tries to keep up with inflation a little bit, but inflation's not that low anymore. I know that back when the 2.4 used to be a pretty good thing, right, because we weren't increasing as much. We're increasing things a lot more now. Declining enrollment still continues to be a problem in the entire state, right? And then everything else you see there as well. And then when it comes to planning, this is where we kind of start talking about building budgets for next year, right? And I know it's weird because we have to come up with a budget before there's even a budget, right? We have to come up with what we predict that the state's going to approve as a budget. So it's a little weird, but that's just what it is. So what we're trying to do now is to figure out, we have to try to figure out what the COLA is going to be, what the final COLA is going to be, and different things that we have to kind of look at. There's other things at play now too, because we do get a lot of federal funds. We don't know if those federal funds are going to be coming in or what % they're coming in or anything like that too. So it's what makes this a little bit more of a unique year. And according to even some of the things I talked about before, with this being his last budget, also potentially running for a national office, our state with the federal government's not exactly getting along, and are we going to be made, so there's a bunch of things that are out there that are really at play that we don't really know how it's going to play out. So some of the things that they suggest for planning considerations is to make sure you have position controls and you're up to date, you know how many employees you've got, what's doing what, and then also just paying attention to what's going on in the information that's going to be coming from our different organizations that we belong to let us know what's going on. They're saying do not budget for that discretionary grant because it's going to be all over the place. Those are one-time monies, by the way. So those aren't things that would be ongoing anyway, right? So if those come in, great. If they don't, we need to prepare for them not even to come in. And then also, they do not fund for a graduation requirement for ethnic studies. And so in the ethnic studies provision, it says that it's not mandated until it's funded to be able to do that. So it's another year of it not being funded, so it's not going to be in there. So they keep talking about it every year, but it was supposed to have already been, I believe, already started by now. Yeah, and so they've been kind of kicking it down. They haven't really taken it off yet, but they've been kicking kind of the can down the road by just not funding it. And what I mean by funding it is they're supposed to be funding curriculum and everything like that too, in preparation for that coming, and it just hasn't been in anybody's budget. I know that was a pretty quick overview, but if anybody has any questions that I might be able to answer, then I will do my best. So with all that information is when we will start having a little bit more idea about what it means for schools more on a granular level a little bit. But we have a pretty good idea, like even for our multi-year projections, it's talking about 3%. We generally use the lowest number that they come up with because we want to be conservative for that part. But the only thing I could say is it's going to change a bunch of times before we even get there. And this is the time of the year when a lot of the bills are coming through and there's a lot of negotiations going around with the legislature and the different sides of the legislature and the two different houses in the legislature, and then with the governor and things like that too. So it's like I said, it's kind of a unique year on that part for that. Any questions anybody has? I know that was really exciting. And anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to our student board representative report.
So with the Citrus Fair coming up, I know a lot of students have put in work in the Citrus Fair, particularly a lot of FFA students. I know the art construction class has put in woodwork. I think floral has put in bouquets. Farm to Table has also put in different foods, like I know they made homemade applesauce. And I know Mr. Vagert, the art teacher, also submitted a lot of students' artwork in there as well. So if you have the time, it'd be great if you could check out students' work. Also, I know the animal anatomy class went to a field trip to the Cloverdale Home and Garden, and the CSF had a field trip to San Francisco State, which was really nice. It was nice seeing the campus and really like being there, and the weather was actually pretty nice, so we weren't freezing cold. The junior class is having a bake sale for, I think, a wine walk pretty soon, and they're still looking for volunteers for providing any like baked goods.
And we do have a little bit of a time change for Mr. Eagle. It's still on February 27th, but doors open at 6, but it will start at 6:30. So just keeping that.
February 27th?
Yeah, it's still going to be, the Friday then. And this Monday, we had school had a walkout for protesting ICE. A lot of students went to the plaza with signs, and I heard that it went pretty well. I think they were very proud of what they did and what they stood for. And some students came back after lunch, but the majority did go home with that. And I think, that's all for my report.
Thank you. And we will move on to board reports. Anyone can start.
And sweet. So first off, I was able to go to the STEAM night at Jefferson, and that was so cool. I was telling other board members, learned a lot about polar bears that night. Stuff that I never knew, which I really appreciate because I'm always up for being a forever student. The little experiments, everything, just, it was overall a really wonderful evening. I thank the teachers who volunteered to stay and provide, so thank you. The other shout out I wanted to give was our parent group at Jefferson. We did go, my daughter and I went to the dance, and it's really great what that organization does, and just thank you for everything. So I just wanted to make sure I gave them a shout out on my report. But that is it for me.
I'll go. As mentioned in our student services report, SARB did have 3 new referrals from Washington. However, we will unfortunately be calling back some SARB students that we've been monitoring because they're not, they're still having attendance issues. And we, in addition to monitoring all the students, I just want to say all of our students that are at JEH, a majority of them have been super successful in having 100% attendance since moving there, so that's really great. And that's all I have for right now.
Thank you.
So yeah, this month we did a coffee chat. I encourage people to come and talk about whatever you want to bring to us at the coffee chats. But besides that, there's nothing else for me to report.
I will say at the coffee chat I learned from Miss Tappan that an orca is actually not a whale, it's a dolphin. So,
Really?
learn something new
Yeah.
every day, yeah.
Why do they call it orcas at SeaWorld?
It's a
Okay, sorry.
yeah.
I have nothing to report.
Thank you. And I also have nothing to report this month, so we will move on to the superintendent report.
I think you heard me enough.
Okay, moving on to report discussion, Measure H update.
Short and sweet, as submitted. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we will move on to O2, Local Control Accountability Plan, LCAP, mid-year. Yeah, sorry.
Okay. Okay, everybody has this in front of you, and it's going to be super tiny up here. So if you could move forward a little bit. Yeah, so I could just explain with this first one here. See, we have 4 goals, right? And so every year, or in the middle of the year, we have to do an update, and it has to come in front of the board. And so you'll see the column right there. And so some of them, obviously like this one, for example, on the second one, we don't know our ADA and P2 because we're not even there yet. Most of them, though, deal with the district dashboard, which is on there. So, and that's all stuff that's listed on the website for the dashboard. And so, which we went over I think it was last month, right? We went over last month. So keep going down a little bit. So each one of the 4 goals has metrics, right, that we've come up with. So this is year 2 of a 3-year cycle, right? So some school districts and it's a living document, but some school districts change their metrics on a yearly basis. We've always, and I'm a big proponent of leaving things for the 3 years so you can actually see your progress or sometimes decline. I feel like if you're always moving it, you're never going to get a target anywhere, right? So we've steadfastly done that. So this is, again, the second year. So next year will be the final year of ours to be able to reach the goal. And then next year, we're starting writing a new one for the following year, right? So we'll kind of, it's not a total rewrite because some of the things will continue on, but it will be kind of the new cycle will be up for that. And of course, like we talked about last time at for the dashboard, they have the colors and everything too, and then the different groups within there. So I can answer any questions you might have them. Yeah.
I do, sorry. I was really quick on that one. So whenever I was reading through, because I know I wasn't obviously able to attend, last month.
I wasn't going to point that out, but yes.
I know, thank you. It's okay, I'll throw myself under the bus. The Parent Ambassador Program, like, what is that potentially going to look like? I was kind of curious because it was part of it, and I just haven't talked about it before, at least I haven't heard it, maybe I missed something. I was just kind of curious, has that, like, any discussion on that happened? Because it does say, like, we're still developing it, so I'm just curious, are there any ideas of what that's going to look like?
I think there's ideas, but I don't think we've talked about necessarily what that looks like.
Okay.
Exactly.
It just sounds really cool. That and the inclusive practices area I really enjoyed. Just with the cultural, like, outreach and stuff like that, I thought that was pretty neat. So that's more of a comment than a question. I was just curious about the Parent Ambassador Program.
Okay.
That's all.
I mean, we talked about that a lot last month that you missed, but no, we didn't.
I'm just curious.
Anybody else? How about out here? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
There's no action, it's just.
Yeah. Okay, so we will now move on to our discussion action item P1, consideration and acceptance of donations. And we would like to thank everyone that donated. We had an anonymous donor donated a $100 Barnes & Noble gift card. PG&E Blackbaud Giving Fund donated $60 to JEH. Dutcher Creek Crossing Winery donated $100 CHS Prom. Cloverdale Ace Hardware donated $200 to CHS Prom. Reuser donated $500 for prom. Kiwanis Club donated $250 to prom. Cloverdale Animal Hospital donated $250 to prom. Starbucks donated $5 gift cards to CHS. Happy Donuts donated 5 gift cards of $5 to CHS. Pix Drive-In donated 12 soft serve cone certificates to CHS. Papa's Pizza donated 5 lunch special gift cards to CHS. Cloverdale Citrus Fair donated 3 admission tickets and 20 ride tickets to CHS. Moe's Eagle's Nest donated 4 $10 gift cards to CHS, and the CARE Foundation donated 14 books to CHS Library. So if I can get a motion to approve.
Move to approve?
We have a motion by trustee Garrison
I'll second.
and a second by trustee Candelaria Orr to accept the donations preferential.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent. And so P2 is a notice of Cloverdale Unified School District, California School Employees Association, Chapter 170, Sunshine Proposal to negotiate for the 2025-2026 school year. So with this, there's no action.
Yeah. Okay.
So we will move on to P3, consideration and possible approval of candidate to elect as California School Boards Association Delegate Assembly Subregion 3A candidate with no.
Yeah, so you
No
see
one.
a lot of people
No one
put
wants
in
to.
for that.
Clamoring, yeah.
So,
Can we vote to write in trustee Candelaria or?
I have no comment there.
It's okay, you see my notes.
I
But
think-
Ashley?
I think you can do whatever. I don't,
We can also not.
we could also not,
Can we
yeah,
not?
we could also just not and then see if somebody else writes somebody and they get one vote, then they win.
So should I just make a motion then to just not write
Nothing.
anyone? Oh,
We don't need to do anything.
okay.
Unless somebody wants to do it.
Unless,
Is
yeah, I
anyone
mean,
interested?
No.
No.
Not at this time.
Okay. So
Did you
I
want to
think
come back? Do you want to put it on next month, just in case somebody changes their mind?
You want to think about it?
No.
Okay, then we will move on. No vote for Cloverdale.
I mean, you don't vote.
Well, I'm
There's
saying
no
we're not
nomination.
going
Nothing
to
to
vote.
pass.
Okay, so we will move on to P4, consideration and possible approval of board policy and AR 1445, response to immigration enforcement.
Yeah, so this is a brand-new board policy and administrative regulation that was created by the passage of AB 495 that mandated that we update our policies by March 1st of 2026. So this is, like I said, a brand-new policy. And so this comes in from a CSBA, which is where we get most of our wording for our policies. So what you have in here is in the boxes, basically, it kind of just gives you a synopsis of why that's in there. In my experience, it's always been to where if we have a new policy to our board policies, it usually takes 2 meetings. You have to have 2 readings. So this will be the first reading. Ms. Bunting told me that in the past, you guys have always just done 1. I feel like I've never had that before. Usually, most of the stuff we do is 1 meeting because we're updating a policy we already currently have, right? Like you're going to see for the P5, 6. Yeah, exactly. So my suggestion would be, and I know it says by March 1st, but my suggestion is we've done it we've had the first reading, right? Most of the information that's on most of what we're going to talk about tonight is really actually already in our resolution that we passed mainly. But it is required, so I wanted you guys to know that. So that's why we put this on the agenda so that we could pass that, at least for the first reading of this.
Would we put the resolution kind of like behind this as an attachment, or are they two?
We
separate
could.
things?
You generally don't do attachments
Okay.
unless there's like a form.
Okay.
But because the resolution kind of resides in a different space,
Okay.
as it were. I don't know, maybe kind of look more like a law compared to a, executive order type of thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They have 2 different purposes. So generally, a policy and an administrative regulation would be, administrative regulation is how are we going to, how do we as staff do the policy, right? Where the policy kind of states the law, so to speak, and then the AR kind of says, this is how you will act upon it, essentially. But again, it's very rarely do we as school districts have new policies anymore. I mean, as you can tell, we've got policies for policies, it seems like. So this is a very new development that, like I said, did come from AB 495 in response to everything else. And so once we get these, if you look at these, there's, like I said, the boxes. Once we clean these up and put them in, the boxes will go away, right? The only thing that will stay, that I don't even know if we included, would be the footnotes that attach to the different laws that are there. And this isn't something that we come up with. This is just something that we pay for, essentially, for the college, for the School Boards Association to kind of come up with for that part. Most of what's in here, so I'm sure you've all read it, is you have to have, right? And I feel like that most of it talks about differentiates between a valid subpoena compared to just somebody asking for it, right? So, like I said, it kind of memorializes a little bit more of our resolution that we've already talked, that's been in place for quite a while. So anyway, with that long-winded prep there, does anybody have any questions about it or anything they would like to talk about for that part? I know it feels frustrating sometimes on the board that a lot of it's rubber stamping stuff. Well, we're in California and we get regulated, right? So this is one of those situations that I would basically talk about. So, but we can also ask public if anybody has anything, but I would start with the board.
Does the board have any questions? Comments? Anyone from the public like to make any comments? Do I have a motion?
So I would say the suggestion
first
of the motion
reading.
would be is that you Yeah, motion to make for the first reading, and then we'll bring it back for the second reading. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion for the first reading.
I'll second.
Well, to accept the first reading.
Yes, to accept first reading.
Okay, so we have a motion by trustee Candelaria Orr to accept the first reading and a second by trustee Zykowicz. Preferential?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one is absent.
Okay, then the next, oh, I'm getting ahead of you, sorry.
Let me introduce it. P5, consideration and possible approval of revised board policy and AR 5125 student records.
Yeah, so again, this is, 5125 already exists. And so you'll notice that in your packet, there are some areas that are in red. And those areas in red are the ones that were added. And again, it's very similar to our, this is just a little bit different, has to do with student records as opposed to particularly calling out the 1445 with the immigration enforcement.
So this one is already existing, so we're not doing a first
We're
reading,
just
we're
doing
just
the
approving the
revisions
changes.
to it, correct. And again, this is just what we're supposed to
Yes.
include in it.
Any questions, comments? Public? Can I get a motion?
Move to approve the revisions.
Okay, motion to approve revisions by trustee Zykowicz. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by trustee Ogamian. Preferential?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And no one's absent. And we will move on to P6, consideration and possible approval of revised board policy and AR 5125.1, release of directory information and creation of exhibit 5125.1, release of directory information. Is that-
And I would say normally on these board policies, we would normally do them like in consent. But I thought these ones, being kind of at the state of where we're at, that this would be good to do as report in case people wanted to show up and comment regarding some of this stuff. But again, this one is just the same. It's we have an existing one, right? But we're just updating them, so it's in red.
And the updates are proposed by CSBA.
Correct. And I don't believe there's any ones in here that have options. Sometimes they'll have
Yeah.
options that that do with district practice. Go over those exist here.
Language.
And again, I will ask for any comments, questions, public. Seeing none, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion by trustee Candelaria Orr to approve. Second.
I'll second.
Trustee Zykowicz seconds the motion. Preferential?
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No one is absent. And we'll move on to future agenda items. Does anyone have future agenda items to be brought forward?
Well, we know we're going to bring the second.
Yeah,
The
the
second.
second reading. Okay, and so our future board meeting dates, March 11th, 2026, a regular board meeting at 6 PM, then April 8th, regular board meeting at 6 PM, May 13th, regular board meeting at 6 PM. And with that, can I get a motion to adjourn at 6:52?
I'll make a motion to adjourn at 6:52.
Motion by trustee Candelaria Orr, second.
I'll second.
Second by trustee Harrison.
Who wants to leave?
Preferential?
Aye.
All those in favor?